Ah, the holidays. A time for giving, a time for getting, and a time for going and going.
And going, and going, and going, and going.
When you need a break, we're here, helping you make sense of all the good and the going of the holidays. Happy holidays from all of us at ubnradio.com. Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I'm medium Kellee White. And today we are so excited to have a very interesting guest. And I have to say, before I tell you about him, my very dear friend Sue, hi Sue, recommended that we have this fellow on our show. She said to me, "You're just not going to believe him." She said he's like an intuitive and like a psychologist. He's incredible, Kellee. He's perfect for your show. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest. He's a French native. Patrice Bisiot is an industry-leading hairstylist and a creative genius. Following years of international experience, Paris was the beginning of a long-lasting passion. By age 10, his vision was clear and the goal was set. Graduating 2 years early from school, he decided to pursue admission to the most prestigious beauty academy in all of France. By age 18, he needed more. Leader at heart, he saw himself becoming the manager of 3 salons in Paris. In the United States, soon he landed, in the land of the dream. He opened 5 salons and a resort. Please welcome to our show, Patrice Bisiot.
Welcome, Patrice.
Welcome, Patrice. I'm so glad you are here today. We're so excited to have you on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I mean, those are quite accomplishments. Boy, talk about having an image and a dream and just going for it.
Always. That was always part of who I am. That was from the time I could remember. That's why the passion was born with me. And I was born with the passion. It was within. It was always here and ready to explode and burst. And I feel this is his journey. I want to make this life just the fullest I can do.
That's wonderful. Good for you. You are definitely the poster boy to when there's a will, there's a way.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, we want to say hi to John,
Hello.
our engineer.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
John.
Happy holidays, ladies.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to you, too. Patrice, meet John. I don't know if you can see John. He
can't, but
can't.
No,
Okay.
I cannot.
he
Hey,
can
John,
visualize me. I don't want him to see this bad hair.
Apparently, John just woke up.
This is bedhead, but that's usually the best, usually.
So anyways, tell us, you said that you had this vision when you were little. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, the thing is, I was always connected to adults before I was connected with children. And that was really a maturity I had early on. And from that, I knew there was a dream in me. I knew there was a world out there that was for me. And realizing very quickly, not only having an early career and having really, an amazing title as a manager in Paris at the age of 18, having 3 salons under me, and being able to achieve that for France, it was like an accomplishment within itself. And I understood there was so much more into me and in me. So America was definitely the next rational, logical step. And that's when the company flew me to Miami, where I first managed this store. And realized, again, this isn't enough. There is so much more. Mm-hmm. But in the process of prosperity in a professional level, it became also an endeavor as a personal development. And this is really, really what I wanted to create as a message, not only to be the best at my craft, but also sharing a message and understanding the psychology and the mechanics of the brain behind a makeover, especially that's becoming so trendy, that became so trendy. And it's really going to such a wrong way that I really want to be here to say, all right, girls and guys of the world, this is time to think with your mind, your heart, and your soul, not with what you read or listen to or pushed around by social media or press or etc.
Well, that's what, when we were looking at your bio, that's what I loved about it. Because you really, as psychologists, we know that hair is a metaphor for what you might be feeling inside. You know, many times what I see in my practice is after we've worked something or after, you know, a patient of mine has healed some wounds, they all of a sudden will show up the next week with a completely different haircut. And I know that that symbolizes kind of, you know, they're letting go of the old. And what you're doing is, from your perspective as the hairdresser, it almost seems like you're being so responsible and saying, I'm not just going to give you a makeover. Let's take a look and see what's inside before you decide what you want to look like.
That's it. You got the message. That's exactly what I do. And I don't care the client is walking in for the first time and, you know, meet me, or it's a client that I have for 10 years. It's all about reconnecting every single time. It's the same thing as a relationship. If you don't keep connecting and having this thing where you say, hey, where are we? Are we good? Is there anything you need to tell me? That's really essentially what I do. I address the issue immediately. And issue doesn't mean there's no negative connotation to it. It's a constructive mechanic that I have, and mechanism that I really, really embrace and practice every single day. To me, every day is a new day, and every day means we need to connect to know where we both at, so we can really partner into this amazing relationship, knowing what you want and what you're expecting from me and what I can provide you. Are we there? Are we meeting in the middle?
How do you deal with clients that have anxiety or clients that are depressed when they come to see you?
Well, it happens a lot, but I really, perhaps it's the talent that I have and the hair whisperer thing that we'll get into in a little bit, because I know, girls, you are all about that. But
You are the hair whisperer.
I mean,
I
you
am
really
the
are
hair whisperer.
Hairapy. You're doing Hairapy with people.
I do therapy with people. That's really primarily what I do. And that's really what I discovered along the way, where people would say, my God, you're so talented. You understand me so much more than the people the closest in my life, or perhaps my therapist. I mean, obviously, with all due respect, girls, because, you know, that's your field. And, you know, but it becomes really just that intimacy and the intensity of the relationship between both of us. And there is one single and simple element to it. And when I said that actually not long ago in an interview, they were like, wow, because I always say, who touches your hair in your life? Who do you allow in your space to touch you, to touch your hair? Only your mom when you were a kid, because that was the only person that could do that. Later, it becomes the person you're intimate with, either romantically, physically, in any way. But who do you allow to bring closer to you? The closest, in fact, it would be then your hairstylist. So if you allow that person to touch your sacred part of you, then of course you create this relationship.
It is the sacred part. It's your crown.
Right.
It's really where the intuition comes in from. And I can tell you, you know, I have a lot of hair, and I've always had, the reason
Yes,
I asked
you do.
about anxiety is I've always had a horrific fear of getting my hair cut. I mean, to the point of I'd have to take a Valium back in the day, before I could even trim my hair. I would have such a
Really?
panic attack, and then I would be like shut like this, and then I would start to cry and shudder and cry, and then I would get
Wow.
depressed for weeks. I
Wow.
mean, weeks.
As a kid?
As a kid. And then I found out years later that the Native Americans believe that intuition is where comes in from the hair.
Like your
But I would
spiritual
say,
antenna.
Like it's spiritual antenna.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of sense to me. And so I'm often I wonder when I see somebody who has changed their hair, if it has changed their intuition. I go in a different route than how they've changed on the inside. I always kind of look at their intuition.
And see if it's actually messed that up.
Yes,
Huh.
absolutely.
Interesting.
Well, it is. I mean, hair's, you know, hair's very intimate. It really is. I mean, I don't like people just touching my hair.
People come up to me on the street in the elevator.
They
You
want to
see
say,
it,
"Oh, how
and they go,
pretty."
"Oh," and I'm like, "Oh, don't touch me! Oh God!"
Well, the funny thing is, it had never occurred to me to see somebody and immediately go and want to touch their hair. That wouldn't even cross my mind to do.
Me either.
Yeah.
But people do it to me all the time. It's like as if there's no boundary. I'll be on an airplane, somebody will grab, and I'm not talking about a kid doing it. I'm talking about an adult,
about
a
an
woman.
adult.
Can I just grab your hair? Can I just touch your hair?
Wow.
Sometimes they don't ask.
Wow.
And I'll say, "Well,
Wow.
oh yeah."
That's a little creepy.
It happens a lot.
Wow.
And Kelly's
The world
very
of today.
cherub hair. You know, it's very angelic. You work with the angelics, so that makes sense why they want to come up and just touch it. You want to be touched by an angel.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's still
Shake
it's
my hand
not,
instead.
It's not. So, you know, going along with what you were saying, and actually, Have you heard that before? Do you understand what Kellee is saying about her having so much anxiety when they wanted to cut her hair as a kid?
Yes, of course. I mean, I've seen it. I see it. I mean, clients have kids and they want me to cut their hair. And that's why also when I do, I always tell them to really allow the process to go. It will be probably a lot of crying and screaming. Why? It's an unknown. It's the tool. A pair of scissors look very simple to us because we're educated, we're adults, we're in a different place. For this kid, it could look like an instrument of torture. And therefore, I'm coming into their space once again. Who touches their hair? Probably mom, maybe dad, but mom brushes the hair, mom touches the hair, mom kisses on the hair. And it becomes this intimate, again, relationship. And now I'm coming in the middle of an intimacy. And maybe they have seen me once or twice in their lives and their children, and they don't recognize me, so they don't connect with me. Therefore, they need trust and time to allow me to get into their space. So I understand the fear and the anxiety as a kid. Yes, totally.
You know, that is what you're saying is just so beautiful, and it really truly shows. I mean, your area, but you know, I see as an old soul that's so evolved to be so respectful of touching somebody's hair and really understanding how intimate it is and how sacred, and especially for kids. Sometimes we think that, we can just kind of go in there and do whatever. And the somatic practice that I'm trained under, you always ask permission. Is it okay if I step forward? Is it okay if I put my hands on your shoulders? And you're saying the same thing with hair. Is it okay if I touch your hair? That's so beautiful and so thoughtful.
It is. It always takes a long time, and I will take breaks, and I will just go with the flow. The energy is there, and I need to let it go. And I go with that energy and with that flow.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you make it fun for the children as well?
I do, in a sense that I connect with them and talk to them. I mean, I don't have toys and everything, but I sit down, first of all, instead of having that, because when you're over the person's head already, and I'm talking actually as an adult, and I've learned that from a long, long time ago, the fact that the client is sitting down and she has a robe on, she already has this superiority complex coming to her. So you're above her head. You're in control of her.
Right.
So if you do that to a kid, that's even worse because he doesn't understand the concept. At least the client chose to sit in your chair.
Right.
As the kid actually will not understand. So I always pull a chair and sit so we're on the same level. So the eye contact is just at the same horizontal line.
And this all came to you intuitively to do that and to know this.
Yes, it's an instinct. It's been always. I'm a passionate in life. I'm a passionate with, growing up in France was an advantage and a gift because you get aware of things you don't even know, because you're surrounded with architecture and art and culture and fashion. And it's all that world of everything is really around you and you're bathing into this incredible centuries of all those people that have built what, France is. Yeah. So yes, it is an instinct to me. And then realizing along the way, and I realized it actually very severely a few years ago when I lost absolutely everything financially and all that, realizing that this was not the definition of me, but actually I was the definition of me. My talent, my hands, my soul were enough to make me who I am now. And that I needed to take that enormous fall down. I mean, it was huge, but it was great because from that, and I had this amazing, he was incredible, yogi who also really taught me, the meditation process and really the idea of that and realizing I had it all along. Some of the steps I was already doing on my own, but this was the true awareness of where I was going to.
It's interesting how that does take a situation like that to make somebody come up to who they really are supposed to be and who they really are, who their soul is. You were young to have that experience and very wise. It could have gone the other way. It's very interesting. You were very wise.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, yeah. I mean, I am so amazed at truly how, psychological you are, from that intuitive place, understanding that someone's sitting there, particularly a woman who has a robe on and you're sitting and you're about to, come into her
sacred space.
Right. That, that can make someone feel vulnerable and possibly trigger somebody, and particularly with kids, to give them the same respect, and sit and see them and sit with them at that eye level, which is something, you're taught in like Psych 101 to not, if you're going to talk to a kid or interview a kid,
That is true.
you never let them, you never sit over them. You try and sit where you're eye level so they can feel a little bit more comfortable. So, I mean, I am amazed, and I've never heard this from.
I haven't either.
Yeah, from someone whose craft is doing hair. You're so much more than that. That's really beautiful.
Yes, it is. It is my message. That's why this book came around, Mind Your Hair. And
Mind
obviously
Your
we'll
Hair.
talk
Tell
about
us
it
all
along
about
the
your
way.
book.
Yes, that's it. I mean, Mind Your Hair is really this message of self-love and self-development. As we were discussing briefly yesterday, the concept of makeover, initially was not a bad idea. A new me, a new you, a new something. New is good. New is, new brings back everything to zero. It's a challenge. And hey,
Yeah.
let's see how we deal with the challenge. Now, it just come for, a few years forward into it. It became used and abused more than we can hope for. TV shows took, possession of that just for content purpose and visual content. And especially there is this show that I cannot name, but where they threw this woman, and everybody will recognize it, where for 3 months the lady will be yet transformed, what they call, into this butterfly. But this butterfly, let me tell you, with 3 months she had no mirror. Apparently they were cutting short on the therapy. This is not so simple. The makeover is a huge process.
Yeah.
So we think because we're giving her new body, new teeth, new hair, new face, new everything, now let's release her to the world and everybody's going to be like, ooh, bravo. Yeah,
Right.
it's bravo on an artistic sense, but is it bravo mentally for this lady who only had 3 months to process that? You cannot process such a change in 3 months, because now here she goes back into her life in the Middle West, where she lives in this little town.
Yeah.
And now perhaps the husband is threatened because the wife doesn't look like anything he married.
Yeah.
And maybe now his friends, I'm talking the husbands, are like, well, your wife looks mighty good. So what does that create? It creates this insecurity and this environment where it's like, what happened? And this lady looks at herself in the mirror, and I can guarantee you, she does not recognize herself, does not feel good. It's not because she's half of her body weight or had a facelift or have all new teeth put in that she will feel better, because she did not go through a right process. And this is why it's completely ludicrous to do that.
Yeah.
So my book comes into this very place of, all right, you know what? You want to change. That's great. That's a great place to be. I love challenges. I love to bring people into this new place. Only, are we at that place together, or are you at that place in your core, in your heart, and your soul? And meanwhile, it's the same thing in life. And I extend it in the book into perhaps you're getting divorced, and not only you want that makeover, but you're going to, move and go across country because you think, you know what, if I live in Miami rather than Seattle, I'm going to be so much happier. It's sunshine. It's the... And then you realize a month or 2 or 3 later, but the problem is the same. I just dragged my problem with me. Only I thought it had a better appearance and it looked so much more, so much sexier. But at the end, I'm really just as unhappy as I was thousands of miles away.
It's the old adage, wherever you go, there you are.
Absolutely. So that's really what the book is about, is the empowerment of realizing this is not just a makeover. This is not just the relationship between the hairstylist and the client, which it is the beginning of the book and the beginning of my story, but it's a love story. It's a love story between us. It's a love story between you and yourself.
Wow.
And this is about understanding any change you will create needs absolute theoretical thinking process before we go to doing it.
Well, I love that you're saying that, because it's such a kind of unsophisticated or simple way to think that if we look good, we feel good and everything is great. And you're absolutely right. A shock of, first, they don't let these women see themselves for 3 months while this whole transformation is happening. And the idea to do it without therapy, because that's no big deal. Nobody wants to watch it on TV. And then put them out there. I know that a lot of the women had a difficult time coming out of those kind of makeover shows. And the country couldn't understand it. Like, what's wrong? I'd love to have a makeover like that. And you don't understand that it's deeper than that. You can't just change something on the surface and expect everything to fall into place. So you're so absolutely right, Patrice.
Could be why it only ran 1 season, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it only did.
you're right.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So someone sits in your chair and maybe it's a new person. What are some of the questions that you start to ask them to kind of get to know that deeper sense of them a little?
Oh, the questions are very simple. It becomes, it's really all about, are you a mom? Are they kids? Are you working? Is it do you have a career? What is your life? Tell me your life. Describe when you wake up to when you go to bed. Tell me that. And already that pattern will give me really a great scape and landscape into what I am walking into.
That is so interesting. So you're looking at what they say and how they say it as well?
Absolutely, of course, because you will have a different understanding from the mom that maybe doesn't have this sophisticated life, and she comes to me because she wants to treat herself into this, celebrity hairstylist, if you will. I mean, for the lack of better word, because it's so again used and abused. But it could also be, my executive in a corporate, at a high level, which I understand also her language, and they will say maybe actually even the same words, only I know what it means from one to the other. And that's the interpretation I need to make sure to understand clearly. As for simple words, someone that will say short hair could mean shoulder length. Short hair to me means Halle Berry. How do we understand that if we don't communicate properly?
Right.
Wow.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And it's so funny because it's so important to know this. Like, do you say something about yourself and how you work? Because I can just think, particularly in the days where, as I've grown older, I'm not as moody or try not to be as moody. But if I go to the hairdresser and my hairdresser starts asking me, so are you a mom? Tell me what you've done all day. I'd look and go, please cut my hair. I don't want to talk.
Right.
So do you kind of talk to them about your process a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. I always introduce what I do. And like I say, my clients, obviously, that are with me for years know that
They know you, yes.
I don't just jump in the process, And of course, the questions are more subtle. I'm not basically going blunt. I mean, I'm trying to make it quick with you girls. But of course, the message is a lot softer. There is this just, sit down, relax. Let's talk about you. Let's see what's going on. Why are you here? And then little by little, the questions are coming. It's not like I go right in and say, all right, tell me your day. It's
So
about,
that's where your intuition really must kick in, because for somebody like me, having somebody like you would help me, because I think that you would understand how I am in the world.
absolutely, of course. And that's the, I said, from the hair, even from the hair that the client is walking in, I'm already able to interpret what they are and who they are. I feel it, I know it, I see it. It's just an instinct. It's there.
Wow, so that's intuition.
That is intuition. Okay, so what do you see? What do you see, Kel?
Start with
What do
Shirley.
you see with me? And feel free. This is an open show, and we're happy to share, with everyone how we are when we're trying to also share things with our audience.
All right, Kellee, I'm going to start with you.
God.
And, you
I'm an
already
easy
gave me,
target.
your anxiety and your thing, but I didn't need to hear that. Kellee, I know what's going on with you. You want the blonde. The blonde is the soft. The blonde means that you feel like it's not threatening. It's comfortable. It just makes you right. And it's not a risk you're taking. Long hair is hanging on to the past. It's hanging on to, again, what feels comfortable, what's good. And the curls, because you're a natural girl, because you're more on the bohemian side of life, and you're more free spirit, and you're more about just who you are and what you are, and you live life through emotions and things that come at you, and you don't battle them and fight them, because that is a free hair through that wave and that blonde. And it's just something that you feel like it's very me. It covers me. It's my blanket as well. So it protects me from others. If I don't want to let them in, it allows me to not have them close to me. And that's really what Kellee is about with her hair. It's obvious that to me pops in immediately. In fact, when I saw your photo, when I received it on the first message you and I exchanged, via text, that was my first instinct. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what kind of girl it is.
He has your number, doesn't he?
Got my number. That's it.
Oh, I have your digits, baby.
That is so funny. I'm a little afraid now. And I'm trying to think, okay, should I change my hair? Okay, all right.
No, don't change your hair.
He's
Go
like a
ahead.
profiler.
All right, Shirley. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Got a
it.
close up.
Good.
Oh God, don't do that to me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We don't need a close up. I'm there already, and that's funny actually because perhaps for the idea of length, which also make it comfortable. You actually are, if I had to draw a line, you're on the other side of the spectrum from Kellee. And this is why you girls make a great team, because you are the control girl. You are that girl. The hair is perfect and it's shiny. Each highlights is where it should be. It's a medium color again. So you don't want to come abrasive and you don't want that personality that you have, that strong personality, that control girl that you are inside. So the color softens that appearance and doesn't frighten either your client or the world around you, but you're very much in control. You know you want everything, not your way per se, but definitely a way that you see is really how you see the world. And when people come to you to seek for that guidance, you know you're that girl because you know your craft extremely well and you are just this in control girl that will want to also maybe at times, unfortunately, control too many of your emotions. And that would be where you could perhaps, start letting go a little more because you are the control girl.
Gee, that doesn't.
my God.
Wait. That doesn't fit me at all. I mean, who is he describing? Oh my God, that's almost embarrassing. It's like I just took my psychological clothes off.
No, you actually mentioned to me yesterday. You said, "Do you think my hair represents control?" Like, oh my God!
I did
And
because
perfect and
I've
being
had that
perfect.
with being and I don't see it that way at all. I really don't. I see it, because it's straight, I guess, but I don't do. So okay. Well,
Wow.
Patrice, thank you. So you really got both our numbers. That's hilarious.
That's why I'm
that's
off
funny.
camera today. I don't want to be.
yeah.
You're somewhere in the middle of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the nice balance.
Yeah.
So okay, wow. Well, that is really insightful.
Okay, but I want to hear both of you. Did I get it right for our
It's really
listeners?
funny. You got me 100%. And when I was in the business world, maybe you don't know this, but in 2000 I had a head injury, and I really stopped working at that point in the business corporate world. But prior to that, I, when in the business world, blew my hair, and it was always blonde, by the way. I've been blonde my whole life, but I used to blow it straight. I mean, board straight. I have a different personality when it's straight. I don't think the same. I'm more, frankly, I wouldn't say left brain, but I'm very much in control of everything. And then, after about 2002 or 3, I just let it all go. And my husband has never seen me with straight hair, wouldn't even recognize the personality that comes out with that kind of hair. It's very true. With the curly hair, I'm free, I'm open. It doesn't let anybody else in unless I want them to come in. You're absolutely right on that. But it's a statement that, for me, it lets my life flow very easily. For me.
That is
Yeah, you were right on.
That is so interesting. Well, me as well. And I actually have the opposite. My hair is naturally curly.
Aha!
And about 21 years ago, I always dreamed with straight hair. And my hair was down to almost my waist, brown, curly. I look like Cousin It because, I'm not that tall. And it didn't feel like me. And I hated it. And so about 21 years ago, I started to blow dry it straight.
Well,
and
maybe we ought to do
haven't
a
changed
show where
since.
I blow dry my hair straight. I'll sit over there, and you
Right?
come in with curly hair.
And see how different it is.
I've
I
never
know,
seen her
I
like
know.
that.
For
That would be
Halloween.
wild
So
for
funny.
Halloween.
But Patrice, you did. You hit it on the nose. I mean, and I liked where you said, because it has changed, where I don't feel like I need to be in control of everything, but I do like to feel like I have it. Like it's not just easy breezy, whichever the wind blows, which I want to be more like that, but I'm not, and I like to know, I like to know where things are going to happen. And in some areas of my life, if not most, but
I would say
yeah,
all.
yeah.
All. No, all. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, I like, for example, a weekday or a Sunday where I've got no plans and all of a sudden somebody calls and says, "Hey, let's do that." But I can't remember the last time that ever happened. So yeah, I
There
guess
you
I
go.
just answered my
My
own
point.
question, didn't I? That's
Oh my
fun.
God. Well, you got our numbers.
Yeah, you sure do. That is so interesting. How and so then when people come with repeated customers, you do the same thing just to kind of see where they're at in that moment.
Course. Absolutely. Life is an evolution. Like I said, I've changed, you change, everyone changes. And as long as you recognize and embraces it, then you know that it's happening. So the client I had last year, and I'm talking, I see her monthly, but from last year to this year, it could be anything that have changed. She might have gained weight. Maybe she has lost weight. Maybe she's not really happy, in her relationship. Maybe the kids are getting on her nerves. Maybe there are so many items and ingredients into her life that will make her a different person, perhaps from one month to the next. There is this change, and we need to know what it is to assess it, and knowing if it's just, a going through period, or it is really a shift. And now we are addressing the change into a more permanent change.
So each time you get to know the client from where they are at that moment. And then
Absolutely.
at that time you would also understand how they process things too, if you've seen them a couple of times.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, very quickly, from the first time, I would say, really, the person will understand my philosophy and my look on life and on my craft, because they really go together. That's not just one separated from the other. They really are together as a whole. So, yes, they understand my philosophy. Obviously, the moment I touch your hair, I could really say, I have the pretension to say that passion is everywhere. It's like when you read my book, that was the most compliment that I got, is every page is filled with passion. And in fact, I was nervous about that when I was done with it, because it was a long, it's long work, and you're so close to it that at some point you wonder, did I get my message right? And that's really what it was all about. Passion, the message, the quality, the knowledge. And that to me is really what we all need to have in order to offer the best of service.
So true.
And how do you use then that information? Let's say that someone wants to, do you then advise them with their hair? Or, I mean, it doesn't seem like you would do that, but if they want to do something that you maybe don't think fits them, would you talk to them about that? How do you use that information actually to then work on their hair?
Okay, well, that's a great question. And that's a question actually I'm starting hearing more and more, which is great, because the power of no. And I'm not saying the power of now, because that's a different book. And we're not talking Eckhart Tolle here. We're talking the power of no, N-O. And N-O could actually be so much more gratificating and so much more, bring so much more into your life as a positive than a negative. People think that no is a bad answer. No one wants to hear no. When you're a kid, you don't want to hear your parents saying no to what you want. Yeah. As an adult, you grow and you will still want to hear, yes, of course, whatever you want. And it doesn't work like that. So that principle is applied in my work for what I do. And often there is a no. And it's not a no because I'm an egomaniac and I just think I'm going to do what I want. It's about saying, I can really read this is the wrong direction, and I cannot put my name on something that is not you. And I have often, not to say almost 100%, have client coming back. Perhaps the no that I gave them, they hated it, went somewhere, did the mistake, and then came back for the repair. And then they understood my no was, and I tried to tell them a very simple thing. I'm like, listen, we all want to make money. If I say no, I'm walking away from a big item, big ticket item. Why would I do that? I'm a businessman too. I'm not just an artist. I'm here to make a living out of my craft. And if I say no to you for this enormous ticket, then there must be a reason. So think about it even just on a rational before the emotional or the spiritual.
And so when you have said no, what have been the reasons? I'm sure that you talked to them about what your reasoning is, correct?
Yes, of course. I always explain it in very much details, and it could be anything from the lifestyle. Perhaps they're looking at a photo and it's perfect hairdo, like, for you, Shirley, like your hair is blown out perfectly because you take the care and the time for that. As many women will want that, but they also want to wash and go. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. I am not a magician. I'm here to execute reality. I'm here to execute your reality. And this is why we're here together in this precise moment.
It's very much like psychology, or for me doing a reading. I need the answer now, and it's got to be the right answer for me. And I need it the one time, as opposed to, in therapy or even with a medium, it does take time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. People who want change now. I just want this feeling out of me, Right. Yeah. So, And so then I would think that it would be the same thing if somebody comes in and says, okay, I want my hair, this color, styled that way. And if you don't think it's going to fit them, you would say, what about this and this, and try to get them to do that a little differently.
Yes, of course, of course. That's one of the chapter of my book, because essentially my book is a 5-step process to success, really coming from the place you are into a successful change or makeover. Again, that word is not even really a word I love, but anyway, yes, and that's what it is. I explain it. I spend the time I need. It's not a rush order. It's really all about caring and loving. So it's really a process, and a gentle one, even though, like I said, the no at times can appear as being harsh, and it isn't. It is really all about telling you the truth, because I respect you. I respect your mind. I respect what you want. And that's really what I do. Perhaps you should do this, or perhaps you should do that. And that's one of the chapter of my book, which is guidance. And that's really our job. It's not there to rush. I'm not here also to do what I want, like I said, because too much ego in my business makes people feel, oh, the moment he has a pair of scissors in his hand, he's going to do what he wants, and he loves short hair.
So true.
And it's wrong. It's so bad. So many clients are traumatized when they see a pair of scissors coming at them.
Yeah.
It's because the work was so not done. The process was not respected.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's this big mess of fear and that emotional distress, because they think, oh my God, here we go, another one. What is going to happen with this one now? And that's where I really come and say, no, 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 no. If I actually feel today you're not ready, you're going to walk away today with nothing done, because you're not ready. I could just tell today is a bad day. You're having a bad moment, and it's okay. But we'll see each other later. But today is not your day.
Have you had people get very angry with you?
Oh, I had some clients, yes, of course, which is funny. Again, they come back like later or much later. It's like it's like the perfect lover. It's like, oh wow, you go away and you stray a little bit and you see what's happening out there, and then it's like, oh wow, but that was really good, the first time around, and there you go. And yes, of course, like I say, no is not a pleasant answer, and no one wants to hear no, especially if I have a woman of caliber where she's a woman in control, an executive, CEO, someone on the board of a big company. She likes things her way. She comes to you thinking what she thinks is what it is, and that's just it. Mm-hmm. And then she comes now into my space, and it's a choice that she's made. She's not here because I forced her to, but it's about talking, and like I say again, meeting in the middle. And if I feel like this isn't fit, I'll say no. And yes, I will have reactions such as, oh, but I went to see 3 other guys and they told me yes. You know what? You're very welcome to go back and see them, do what you need to do, and maybe come back later when you think that you and I are a match.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, that's very respectable, and really that you're very committed to your craft and to how you work. But
that's the problem of society today. No one wants to, everybody wants that quick fix. Everybody wants that instant gratification. Everybody's greedy, so they want to make more money. So okay, one more client, one more in the cash register. Mm-hmm. And I understand business is a hard thing to lead, and that's why now I'm also shifting my business into different directions, because there's only one of me, and I need to sort of now spread my message. And I'm in a different place spiritually and mentally. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing, today. It's everything and right now, because if it's right now, it's really good, and it isn't. So that's again back to the process and understanding. Let's take the time. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate.
Yeah. So walk us through these 5 steps.
All right. Well, the 5 steps are, like the consultation, as I addressed initially. Mm-hmm. The consultation is crucial. The consultation is something you do not want to skip, because that's the thing. The consultation is the time where you and I are getting to know one another. And if you don't do that, it's what are we doing? It's like we're going to speed up the process. That is the key element. That is the one I spend the most time. And I could spend a half hour talking to my client, that it's not a problem, because my schedule is done in a way where my rates are obviously high, but I'm not here to just hit you with a ticket. I'm here to really share with you my knowledge, my experience, my craft, my years of work. And then, of course, the expectation, which comes right after. And that expectation, I need to know. are you doing that for yourself, or are you doing it because you want to please somebody? And we were talking about it earlier, because too many people do the change because they feel like, oh, if I do that, my husband, for instance, I, name this example of this client where the husband cheated on her, and now she wants to look like the mistress, thinking, I'm going to regain his love and trust and heart.
Wow.
Of course not. The guy's in a different place. You've done nothing wrong. It is not about you. The problem is him. I'm talking, you both have a problem, but thinking that you're going to do that in order to fix the solution, I mean, no, it is so the wrong place to look into. And that's, again, where I'm at, So now we're addressing the self-esteem, because if you're ready to do such thing, that means your self-esteem is definitely in a wrong place.
Yeah.
So let's look into it. So that's part of the process of the consultation. Now, my guidance, that's the step number 4, really becomes where it's like, okay, now what am I going to do? For you, and let me explain what I feel you need. And after that, obviously, there's the knowledge power, and then it's the final result. It's about assessing, all right, we're done. The makeover is over. Now, what's happening? What's in your head? Tell me what you feel, how you feel. Like I always tell clients, that old days when I was a kid, and I remember, going to the salon, and that's really how I approached that the entering the salon with that smell, the particle of spray in the air of a salon. To me, those hair product were like just that. It was like an incense to me. And that's also realizing, when they were doing hair and spraying the crap out of it, and then it becomes where, okay, no. What I do hair, the first thing I tell my client, touch it. Like, it's like, do you want to put anything in it? No, I don't. Just touch it, feel it. Tell me how it moves, how you react to it, how you respond to it. Is it you? Do you feel like it's the same thing? Let's say a bride. You cannot just do an updo because you're a bride and you think you need to look regal and like a princess. You might do an updo and feel horrendous the entire day because it is so not you that all you could feel is the pins, the tightness, the look of it. You feel old and ugly or whatever it is, because that doesn't mean because you're a bride, you have to have that. Same thing with whatever you do. Feel it. Is it for me? Do I feel right? Do I feel natural? Do I pass in front of a mirror and feel like, oh yeah, this is so me, and not like, who am I looking at? This is strange. And that is the connection. So that's really essentially the 5 steps that I'm taking.
It sounds
which
to me
everyone...
like at that 5th step that you talk to them, see how they feel about it. What you're really doing spiritually is you're grounding them in their body to make sure that where they are in that place. It's very important work to do.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's the power of now. And now I'm saying not the power of no, but the power of now, as the reference of the book I was making earlier. That's really what it is about. And it's the problem of society. And actually my book, without being, I'm not the guru of all times or anything, but I definitely always bring back the awareness of my own spirituality and journey and experience, that to say, okay, let's just stay now. Forget your Instagram, forget your Twitter and your Facebook account and God knows, and the reality shows that are just like crowning, the most obscene things. And that's the problem of today. The example is this famous family bringing on this image of success, which do whatever it takes to be famous. Don't worry. You don't need talent. You don't need passion. You don't need any knowledge. Just go for it, hit it in every way. And then one day at some point it will hit. That's what I don't do. It's about right now. That's what's important for us, for you, for me, for everyone. This is this very precious moment that just went by and will never come back to us. Yeah. That's really my process.
Well, and it seems like every step is really thought out. Even the last step where you see how important it is, as Kellee was mentioning, to ground, to take enough time to sit with this new look if you've done something a little bit more different than what they came in with. And, in the body practices, the somatic practices that I'm trained in, when you slow things down, you're able to really kind of sit into them and feel, as Kellee said, grounded. So you've even thought about that step where it's not just, okay, I'm done, great, you love it, see you later. You actually slow that down and take some time for them to really sit into this new look that they have, and that's wonderful.
Well, and let them feel it.
Right.
Isn't that part of somatic?
Oh, yeah. To sense in your body what it feels like, whatever you might be doing, whether it's looking at yourself in the mirror with a new haircut, with a new look,
Because I know for me, even if I just, like I said, if, God knows, if I get my hair trimmed, it has to be like on a new moon or a full moon. Or, in fact, I have a question for you. Do you know anything about that? You know, how people have made all kinds of remarks about only get your hair cut on a full moon or only on a new moon. Do you practice any of that?
Well, not so radically, but I do pay attention to it. And yes, it had made differences in the speed of growth, in the shape of it. Absolutely. Yeah, moons do have a huge influence. I would, if you're a night away from a full moon, I would say wait for the full moon to be there because you're at your most with the intensity of your feelings and your emotions. And yes, it will change what it is. And there's another component, and that's going to sound a little bit bogus for some people because you need to be spiritually a little bit out there. But my clients, a lot of them say, they say that forever to me when I was a teenager, when I started cutting hair, to say, you have a good hand. My hair grows so quickly with you. So, of course, I'm young, I'm arrogant, I'm very successful at a very young age. And I'm thinking, oh, dear, I don't know what pill she took, but Jesus, that is a bad one. I mean, she's on a trip. But now it became like little by little, starting, realizing, understanding and looking into it. And I say, oh, my God, you know what? The ingredient I put in my work is just love. That's what I make. And when I do a haircut, I connect with the hair. The hair is organic. It's this material. It's this beautiful thing that you carve and curve and you have that, that tactile thing to it, that it moves and it's soft and it's either wet or dry and you have just that connection with it. And that's why it's really to me, that love you put into it. When I'm in it, I put my skin in it. I know I'm just so connected to it that it become this one symbiosis where I'm really in my zone. Like I have been said, like you almost have crazy eyes, but not like crazy where, I want to kill someone. Just I'm in my zone because I love what I do. And that's really an element. And an element, like I say, even of growth. My client will always say, but when you trim my hair, it grows so much faster. How do you do that? No one did it. And like I say, it took me such a long time understanding the power of what I had and what I give when I create a haircut.
Wow, it's your soul. You're doing your soul's work.
Yes,
we call
it is
your
my
Dharma
soul work.
work,
I mean,
actually.
no doubt.
And so that would provide for the person a tremendous amount of energy and vital life force. So you're really putting in your vital life force when you do this work. So I have a question for you. How do you take care of yourself?
How do I take care of myself? I do my meditation in the morning. I've learned, same thing when I, got that enlightenment with my yogi back then when I took this enormous hit in every way, emotionally, in partnership with my best friend, everything lost and more. I owed an enormous amount of money. The real estate market crashed in Miami. I mean, it was just a nightmare. And realizing all this and bringing me back to like, wow, what am I doing? Where am I? Who am I? Because at this point, I was in such a frantic speed of life that I didn't understand, all the luxury cars and all the properties and all that. So now coming back to this question, I take care of myself by thinking that every day is an important day. And it's not like I'm saying that like, people here, I hear it especially when I go back to California. It's a little sad to hear the word spiritual more than I can hope for again, because it's like, do you even understand what you're saying when you make a reference to God or spirituality or the universe? People say that like they could throw up, with words. And it's about, I really mean it. Every morning, let's do it. The other day when I saw Tony Robbins explaining that the 3 things he does in the morning, one of them is the gratitude that he addresses to the universe. And I'm like, I'm so connected to that. I'm like, yes, I'm on the right way because that is something I do. What is important to me? Maybe the person yesterday that was in my life for only 1 minute, but maybe she said something so kind or so profound or just something that I connected with. I make that an important thing. Yeah. And then, and I do my gym and I do pay attention to my diet because it's important to respect my body, not just in a vanity project, but as something where I want to live a long life and a long, happy, healthy life. So that's really what I do.
So that's so wonderful. I mean, you said it so beautifully. You're taking care of your mind, your spirit, and your body. Yeah. And there's the 3 things that we also deal with.
The Trinity.
In therapy. So, wow, thank you so much. Now, where can people pick up your book? Are you selling it through Amazon or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Amazon. So you could pick it up. The name is Mind Your Hair, and Patrice Bisiot, that's Patrice, and then Bisiot. And yes, Amazon, it's on Barnes and Nobles online and as an iBook. And then, of course, you can always connect with me. Go to my website, connect with me, subscribe to my newsletter and email and all that. So put all your info in there. This way, I will send you, I have a 5-week course online for free that I send away because I want people to connect with me. It's not just a hit and run. It's a long lasting relationship. I want us to be married forever. You are discovering me now. The book is bringing me to the light, in a different light because I have my own light in my craft. But now let's have that light shining into the world and to the world just for the message, not like how many millions am I going to make? It's about, all right, let me tell you who I am first. So the book is very accessible, obviously, in price, but I also give more. And I have a blog also that I change weekly on my website and other things and articles and stuff that I do. So my handle is the same name, Patrice Bisiot, either Twitter, Instagram, Periscope. I do Periscope twice a week as well. So that way I connect and I bring more content, more element, more of me for people to trust who I am. Because who am I later to have course online and everything thinking, oh, I'm worth the money? No, I need to be worth, what you think I'm worth because that's the value I'm bringing to you first before I charge anything.
How wonderful. And do you have a Facebook page?
I do have a Facebook page. Yes, I have the personal and the fan page. So yes, you can see my work. You can see me traveling, the content, the good stuff people love to see, the behind the scene, a runway, perhaps backstage on a magazine cover. It's always a fun thing. It's a great life. I have a great life. I love the life I've created.
That's fantastic.
Oh my God. I'm excited. I want to have a session with you.
Yeah, I know.
Do it.
Now,
He's made me feel comfortable.
anytime, then that's
I
big.
don't need a Valium.
And that's big. Now,
Maybe a glass of wine.
any idea of opening any salons in the LA area?
The salon part is actually, I don't know yet. No, it might be more, I would say more creating schools or creating training centers. That's really more my endeavor now, because unfortunately the industry, have a lot of, like I said, the ego, the cattiness and all that. And I'm in a different place in my life. I had a salon. The salon, my pilot salon was a huge salon with, a lot of success to it. And I'm not in that place anymore. I don't need to feel like I'm babysitting people that, I can babysit if I feel that my opponent is going to be, receiving my info and what I give of me. But if it's to battle it all day long, no, I'm not interested. I'd rather now share my craft and really have a place where I can teach it, share it, and really bring it to the world again, but in my craft or perhaps in centers also. There are a lot of projects right now coming in and there's a line of products as well that's going to come, probably by the end of next year. It's going to be also about the same philosophy. Take care of yourself inside out. It's not just use that shampoo, that conditioner. Perhaps there is this, element of vitamins and all those elements and ingredients that are crucial for hair growth and the scalp and everything. So that's also part of my philosophy. That's brewing for now.
Well, I am glad to hear that you're making this, but you're going to teach people, how to use your, your craft and how. You're basically teaching people how to fish, right? In that old thing of not just handing them a fish, you're teaching them how to fish. And I was going to ask you if you were going to teach more hairdressers how to do it in this style because I think it's life-changing and so important. And thank you so much.
It's what the world needs now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us and being on our show. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kellee. Thank you, Shirley. It was great to be together.
Great.
I really enjoyed my time.
Great. Wonderful. We really enjoyed that you shared your time with us. So I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kellee White. Two perspectives, one world.